That's fine. I'll tell everyone. Everyone, I don't want to be here. Hey there, so we all work together every single day in the same house, and we still love each other, and we run successful businesses. It is possible to be with your family 24/7 and still be productive in business and love each other and actually grow healthier in your relationships, and that is what this video is all about. Dun, 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 dun. That's what that. Hey there, before you dive into this episode, I wanted to give you an update on some changes that have happened in our business. We have been doing YouTube the last 3 months and we love it. It's not going anywhere. We're going to continue to produce really great YouTube content. But what we have realized the last 3 months is that there are some topics that I love to share on when it comes to my life and our story and our purpose and our legacy, whether it's talking about our marriage or talking about our journey through surviving a stillbirth or where we talk about purpose in business. A lot of those topics, I end up sharing long format segments. These episodes range from 30 minutes to an hour long. And we've realized this is good content that I'm so passionate about sharing, but it might be easier for our audience to listen to if it was in podcast form. So I'm excited to announce that we now have a podcast. The Legacy Podcast with Katelyn James is now a thing. It is live. It's ready for you to listen to and dive into. This segment today that you're going to watch, these are just a few clips from a longer format segment that is on the podcast. So I'd like to invite you, check out the podcast. If you like what you see today in this episode, you're going to love listening to the whole conversation on the Legacy Podcast. There's a link below, and I would encourage you, if there is part of our story and our life and things that we share that you really connect to in regards to the personal side of things, the podcast could be a place where you really love to connect with us on that level, where YouTube is going to transition more into being a place where we share technical knowledge, whether it's shooting techniques or business ideas or posing or equipment that we use. We're excited to have a place for both types of content. But be sure to watch the rest of this episode, because if you're interested in seeing the rest, you can listen to the full episode on the podcast. Hey there, I am Katelyn James, and welcome to our YouTube channel. This is a place where we share behind the scenes for photographers, and we help empower and educate photographers to build profitable and purposeful businesses, while also giving you a little behind the scenes look inside of our life. This is something different that we've never done before. If you have no idea who's in this room, then you obviously don't ever follow us on Instagram, at least on Insta stories, and that's totally fine, but you're missing out because our children are real cute. But they're the real stars. They're real stars. Yeah. They steal the show. But obviously I'm Katelyn. It's my husband, Michael. We're in business together with Emily. Emily's my sister. Joe is her husband and my brother-in-law. And Joe,
and my brother-in-law as well.
I'm kind of both.
Yes, he goes. Yes. We are a family unit, and we will get into a little bit of our story and our dynamic in a minute. But I'm excited about this because we have received not just Q&A responses from what I asked on Instagram. That was prompted by a lot of emails that we had received. People asking us, like, how do I do life in business? Whether you work with your spouse in business or whether your spouse is just home from his or her job, how do we thrive at home 24/7? So I guess my encouragement in this is that this is not just for people in business together. That's not what this YouTube video is for. It's for people who are in relationship. That is who this is for, because I guess we'll get into our story a little bit, because we have been working at...
You got to mention the elephant in the room.
What?
The reason for a lot of people is the coronavirus.
Oh, yes.
Global pandemic.
Everyone's
health crisis.
How could I forget?
Minor detail.
We're together all the time. Like, this is normal life for us. But for a lot of you, it's like, holy cow, what has happened to us?
Right. And sorry, so that's where all the questions have come from. I am quarantined at home. Someone actually said, we've been together for 2 decades and have never spent this much time together consistently. So for a lot of couples and a lot of people just in relationship in general, I don't care if you live with your parents, or if you live with a roommate, or you are with these people in community with them day in and day out, more so now than probably ever in your entire life. And we want to help. We are not experts. No. If you saw us 5 minutes,
you'll figure that out very quickly. Actually,
Joe's pretty close.
Joe's close. We'll explain that in a minute.
Just a few things.
We were literally fighting about things before we pressed record, and we're like, we shouldn't even be doing this. Why are we telling people? Anyway, okay, but in all seriousness, through our own coaching experience, relational coaching, transformational coaching, through our relationship, the three of us specifically in business, I mean, we have learned a lot. A lot of people say, how in the world can you be in business with your husband and with your sister, and Morgan's not even here. Our sister-in-law works for our business full time. Technically, my mom works for our business full time. Our family has got to have, we have to have some understanding of relational health and how to be proactive in crisis and problems, and in order to be able to survive. I mean, we literally just had a big fight last week. Well, the three of us did. Yeah.
Joe just
missed that one.
He was listening.
I just had fun listening to it.
He was here. He probably did. You hear it?
I heard everything.
I heard all of it.
Yes, I was actually watching your children.
Oh,
while you guys were fighting.
Right.
Yes, your mom.
One time we had a fight, and Katelyn and I were in the car, and we were calling Emily, and we were on speakerphone, and like halfway through the call, or like 10 minutes into the fight,
Joe starts recording.
Joe just gets a voice memo on his phone and just sits it on the couch.
It was like so wonderful.
40 minutes.
To do that, yes.
You're wondering why he's saying it's wonderful, because Joe actually does transformational coaching. And so for him, he enjoys helping people see how conflict can actually be the most powerful thing in a relationship. Mm-hmm. So while we were literally sobbing on the phone, it was a good old
I think some people hung up on each other.
Oh, there were
once or twice.
Words were exchanged.
I don't know. I think you hung up on me.
I'm pretty sure Em hung up on you once or twice.
We can go to the recording right now.
She deserves
it. Look in the link description. We'll post that
recording.
We'll
show notes. No fashion audio clip.
Here's the thing. Emmy is my best friend. We're best friends. Well,
okay. You knew that.
This is awkward.
She's my best.
I'll be Michael's best friend.
Girl.
I hope this is really beneficial for you.
Lady friend.
We're giving some good advice right now, aren't we?
Best lady friend. Okay. So she is my closest girlfriend, I would say. You and Jill. But we work together full time, and we're sisters. And technically, she is my boss now. Which kind of. I mean, we could fire her, but she tells us what to do on a daily basis.
I can't fire you.
Right. But
you could say that we're fired.
We don't really know how to do the whole CEO thing, but we did make Emily, we decided to make her in charge of us for the health of our business and our family, and it has gone very well. But there are moments when we have a little blow up. And we had a blow up last week. Yeah. We're not perfect at this. We don't claim to be experts at this. Joe's close, but he'd never say that about himself. No, he no.
No, I'm kidding.
but he spends his time talking to couples and individuals on calls, coaching calls, and helping them work through their own personal examples of what we're going to talk about today. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have sent questions in response to COVID-19. How do we thrive in relationship with whoever? So apply this to whoever you are in relationship with in this season.
Even if it's your 3-year-old like us.
Yes. Yeah. We have a lot of little kids around here.
Lots of little people.
Yes.
Lots of opinions.
We're actually filming this after bedtime.
Yes.
And praying that the monitors don't start lighting up. So if you see one of us bolt out of the room,
you know why.
Yes. So these are some things that I've heard through emails and through Instagram and through people who are connecting with us and sharing what their experience has been. I've heard things like, I feel like we're actually growing farther apart because we're so close together. I feel like we need healthier communication in order to survive during this season. This season is making me aware of how much isn't okay between us. We've been together for 2 decades and have never spent this much time together. Oh my gosh, please help. I'm finding out that I actually don't like him most of the time, which is, I think it was written
Wait,
to
were
be
they
funny.
all girls writing? We need to hear from some of the guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've mostly
follow
women.
at Michael also.
Joe Malizia.
Joe.
If you can spell that last name, you win something.
I'll tag Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, you're crazy. Okay, so why don't
I wish we had names for these people.
Actually, I do know some of the names, but I'm not going to say them.
Oh.
These are the most common questions I received, and my hope in this is that we can kind of share some of the things that people are struggling with, how we have struggled with this or have overcome some of this in our own marriage and working dynamic together as a family.
And some different tools that we've learned.
Yeah, things to think about, to get curious about, to dive in a little deeper with. So one question we got was, how do I get him to respect my work? His job is so chill and mine isn't right now. So
I feel like everybody's job is,
some jobs.
Not grocery.
This specifically,
cashiers.
she was on a COVID-19 task force, and he.
Gosh, yeah.
So that's,
your job is not chill.
Yeah.
No, not chill at all. But I say this because for some people, it's like, hey, I'm not going into work. I'm salaried employee. I'm not getting furloughed or laid off. But then there's someone
working from home,
right.
but nobody's checking in on me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, well, there's
I'm
someone
watching Tiger King
Again.
We are not endorsing that, but we have watched it. What is her phrase? Hey, are you
cool cats and kittens?
Okay. So, if anything, maybe this just gives you something entertaining to watch.
Hopefully.
So,
so what is like his job is so chill? Like he's literally just like watching Netflix all day. And...
So someone who is supposed to be working from home or doesn't even have to work from home but just can't go into work. And then there's someone who's a photographer who, I just talked to one of my brides who's a photographer today, and she's had to reschedule 17 weddings. And she lives in a state where she can't shoot again because of weather until like September. So she lost literally half her income.
Because it's so hot?
Yeah, because it's just not So anyway, how do you manage that dynamic between the two? And I'm assuming, listening to this and reading this, that the tension isn't necessarily, it's not about the work. It's like what she said, it's about respect for one another and putting each other, in each other's shoes.
Well, I think it's interesting she said, how do I get him to respect my work? That, do we know that he doesn't respect it? Like, how does that come up for her? And then...
Like, what's making her think that he doesn't
what's making that come up?
And it might be he's never been home this much, and so he's like, oh, this is awesome. I finally get to spend a lot of time with you. And he might just want to watch shows, go on walks, and she's receiving that as, well, he doesn't respect I have things to do.
Yeah.
Well, you would take the gir's side.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think the guy?
No, I would think instead of just, I'm assuming that she's assuming that he doesn't respect her work. And one of the questions our coach always asks us is, well, have you asked him?
Yeah.
Like Katelyn says, oh, well, Michael wouldn't want to do that. And Julia will be like, well, have you asked him? And she'll just look over at me and be like, well, would you? And I'm like, I might be open to it.
Well, you're trying to break a state of belief that you already are committed to, like, aligning with. It's already going through your filter of, this is what I think about this person. And everything that I process is going to be filtered through that lens of, he doesn't respect me. So part of that, like, did you ask him, helps break that state. Because it could be true that that's not the fact. In fact, another way that we've been asked this question is, what else could be true? Like, if you were willing just to stop thinking that he doesn't respect you, let's actually go so crazy as much as he actually adores you and he loves you and he's crazy about you and he really does respect your work. I mean, that's a whole new way of experiencing your partner,
right?
Or the work that they're doing,
right?
Or the tasks that they have to take care of and the responsibilities and the roles that they have to really show up for well, that do take time.
And the other thing I think too, going off of what you said, is like, what if in his love for you and his respect for you, he sees your stress and he sees how worked up you are, and he's trying to make you feel better by, hey, like, let's just relax. Let's just, like, don't worry about that.
Personal examples of that?
Yes. Our entire
maybe that's why I'm passionate about this, because I am the chill one, and it's going to be fine.
And I have, whoever wrote this, I have been in your shoes.
Did you write these questions?
No, this was not from me. There was someone who said this, and when I read it, I thought to myself, oh, I get that. Because when I get stressed, the first thing I go to is the mindset of, well, it's great for him. He doesn't worry about anything. It's up to me to worry about everything. Like, I'm the one that has the stressful job. I'm the one that has to do all the work. And he's just, hanging out over here and doesn't care. And the truth is, what I've been challenged with, like Michael said, Julie will say to us, like, why don't you ask him how he actually feels about your work? Because I think you're making up a lot because of how you are handling the stress that you're in. And so the answer to that, how do I get him to respect my work? I think we've kind of come to the conclusion that maybe there's work before that, because you've determined a lot already that may not actually even be true. And if you went to him and asked him, then you could start this really awesome conversation that's very open and honest about how he feels like he's experiencing you in the midst of the stress of this season. And you could maybe be honest with him. But changing him, you can't make him respect your work.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's another interesting part, that you have to be prepared, I guess, that he may come back and not respect your work. Like, he may feel unloved.
Are you speaking from experience? Are you speaking about me?
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cutting up in some old wounds. No, like that. I mean, we have had the conversation in the past, not in the recent past, but I felt that the business was more important to you. Like, you used to not want to go on vacations because
that's embarrassing.
You had more stuff to get done.
Which really was you feeling what? Like, it wasn't necessarily respecting her work.
You were jealous.
No, well, it may have been that, but there was something going on.
What about when someone answers for you? What is that?
Seriously.
These two are wired the same way, so they fight a lot too.
Yes. 2 peas in a pod.
But no, what were you were saying that
the real conversation for you wasn't so much about the respect as much as I would say there was more to it that you were experiencing.
And I would say, what?
You tell me.
I would say, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, you're right. We've talked about this before, that it makes you believe something about yourself when I don't choose you. That you're not
something there.
Yes, that you're not good enough.
Sure.
And I obviously
not worthy. Yeah.
Right.
And there's a lot of stories that I tell myself out of that, which feed into the cycle that we go into.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
And notice, like, in that question, like, how do I get somebody to respect somebody? You just trying to change them is going to cause somebody to resist that. Rightfully so. There's beliefs, there's feelings, there's emotions. Like, I could even experience your emotions in that conversation, because I'm like, how many times have I looked at M and I've craved her.
Right.
I've craved her attention. I've craved her affection. I've craved her time.
Right.
And we have 2 young kids. I mean, goodness gracious, if you have children, they change everything. They're awesome, but
they're crazy.
They're nuts. They're freaking nuts.
And especially yours tonight.
Yes, tell me about it. Kid like
no, it was a romantic dinner tonight.
It was not romantic for not our family, somebody else's family, but not ours. Like, I see all these like pictures on Instagram on everybody's families are so happy, and I'm like, we're doing like we're doing hostage negotiations at dinner time.
Yes.
Hostage negotiations.
Eat the sweet potato.
Please just eat the sweet potato. It's one bite. It's literally
Update. Micah did finally eat his one.
Yes.
He got down to 1 sweet potato bite.
Yes.
It was this
One
big.
inch. It was
And
1 inch.
pitched a holy fit about it.
Yeah.
Didn't get to put his feet in the pool. Didn't get his treasure at the end of his path on his tray. No one knows what I'm talking about, but it was a big deal and he ruined it.
For everyone, in some ways.
Sorry, go back to that.
But
What were we saying?
I mean, after all that has happened, it's the end of the day, and I go to Em and I say, "Hey, babe, do you want to have fun tonight?" And she's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm exhausted. Are you kidding me? Like, because I'm wired a certain way that says like, this is a love language for me. This is how I showed that I've been a good father. This is how I prove that I'm actually a good husband. Like, is this care for each other, physically, emotionally, right? And whenever
You get shut down.
and let's say it was just work. It was a busy season at work. You guys are launching a program.
Right.
Like, there's hours. These guys work lots of hours that you guys have no idea about.
Thank you, Joe.
And if you think that they're just like printing money, it's ridiculous. I mean, seriously, it's lots of work, lots of labor, lots of processing. And I see that. I mean, our family sees that. Michael has seen that with Katelyn growing a business. So there's really a lot there whenever you see somebody who you love spending so much time and energy, there's part of you that's a little lost. And so that like, then I don't feel respected.
Yeah. It's like
There's so much more.
you experience like, it's almost like in this situation, like you almost don't know how to respond to the fact that you see that they're experiencing so much, especially knowing the other part of this statement was that she's in the COVID-19 task force. It's like, that's terrifying in a lot of ways. And this is all new for everybody. And, you know, it would be almost like if we, you know, we go into a big launch and you go from like, hey, catching up on shows at night together and eating dinner and hanging out and having chill time to all of a sudden every night, like, she can't do that with you. It's almost like, well, how do I even process this? And it could very easily come across as you not respecting her when really you're just trying to figure out, how do I manage the fact that I know you're really having a hard time?
And I think that might be especially hard for some people right now with the kids are home from school. And so you might be homeschooling during the day. And so your evenings after dinner might be some of the only hours you have to actually dedicate to getting work done.
Yeah.
But that doesn't leave much time for us time. So it's like this season is extra challenging because you're a teacher, but you're also trying to run a business or just do your regular job.